All right, I want to welcome on my next guest. We've got Chiefs legend and member of the College Football Hall of Fame, Art Still. Art, how's everything going? It's a crazy world we're living in right now.
Oh, no, everything is, I guess you just take it one day at a time, so to speak. But everything, I got up this morning, I did get up this morning and all, and I live in the suburbs outside of Kansas City area and all, but I heard all this popping going on. It sounded like, maybe somebody shooting a gun and all. And then when I got up, my wife looked at me, she said, I think those are your knees. So I'm doing pretty good. They popping and I'm getting up and I'm moving around and all too. So.
I thought you were gonna say there's still some fireworks going on, some fans still celebrating from February.
No, I thought maybe you thought I was gonna do some rerun or something, popping and locking and
hey. So what have you been doing with all like added free time and everything kind of being virtual? How have you been handling all the pandemic?
Free time. What is free time, man? What how do you spell? Is that free or two times? 3 times? Oh no.
Yeah.
No, but it's just I'll give you a little, when you say free time for me, I have 6 boys, 5 girls. I got my 22nd, grandchild coming up month and all. And they all live within 30 minutes.
Oh, cool.
So even this morning, I got about 5 or 6 over this morning off too. So when you say free time, I'm trying to figure that one. And then if I do get a couple minutes of free time, man, I just sit there like an old man and I just sit there and just think about, when I was young and be able to walk around and have all that popping sound. But no, but it's almost, we look at it because we got some things we're doing with foundations and all. I'm involved with the Kansas City Chiefs ambassadors and all. We do things within the community and all. So there's a lot of things out there we can do. One of the big things I live by, one of my codes is, and I use it, when we help others, we heal ourselves. And I always tell people I got a lot of healing. So any type of help I can do within my own family structure, because that's where it starts.
Yeah.
And then within the community and those around me and all too, that keeps me going, so to speak.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so I have a question kind of about your early on career. How did you end up in Kentucky?
They had a good pre-med program and all too. I always, these type of hands and all I always wanted to be a brains, surgeon and all too, man, because I figure, I can get in there in some corners, I can get around that other docs can get around. Besides the pre-med situation and all too, I had the opportunity, one of the schools I was looking at was the Big Ten school. And at that particular time, I was looking at Michigan, Minnesota, and Michigan State. And then I had my coach, and that's one of the things I always tell folks and all, the importance of a coach, because a lot of times they take on that fatherly image and all too, as far as direction and all. So my coach Andy Henson and all, he sat me down and talked to me one day and all in reference to, because he knew that I wanted to go someplace and do something myself. And he pointed out the point of University of Kentucky because he said, they're known for basketball. And also at the same time, you're looking to play. So if you go into a school known for basketball and they got a program they're rebuilding, it's always nice to be part of a rebuilding program. If you go to Michigan State, that's their tradition, football. So it made a lot of sense because he said you'd probably have an opportunity of playing as a freshman and all, which I had the opportunity of doing that too. And then I have an opportunity of, and again, we always talk, and I use the term loosely, of making a name for yourself. Yeah. But it's not about making a name. It's just you have the opportunity maybe to excel and get more exposure and all. And so I did, going to Kentucky and all, had the opportunity of playing there, going to school, getting a scholarship and getting my degree and all, and having the opportunity of playing and got some exposure and got, in 1978, got drafted by the Chiefs, second player picked behind Earl Campbell, which I was pretty fortunate and all too. Because, everybody, Earl Campbell, man, and then, getting drafted behind him was, like I said, it was a dream come true, so to speak. So
I have a question about Kentucky. So I saw something a couple weeks ago. I don't know if they got it. You hear there was a bear running around the campus? You hear about this a couple weeks ago?
No, it's just, we gonna chuckle a little bit and all too. And you throw the bear thing out. Yesterday I was talking, Anthony Munoz, he has his foundation and
Yeah.
all. So we have we're talking with them, maybe have an opportunity to maybe help them fundraising in reference to the coffee and all. But I was talking to Chloe, who works, with the foundation, and I was telling her about the Wildcats. We're the Kentucky Wildcat. Yeah. And it was just kind of funny, you bring up the Bear and all. Oh, I'm a Cincinnati. She goes to the University of Cincinnati. She's an intern for Munoz Foundation and all. I'm a Bearcat. So when you threw out the Bearcat, I'm like, ain't no such thing as a Bearcat. Now, a Wildcat, that makes more sense. A Bearcat's a little confusing and all, too. But how did the Bear come up? And
I don't know. I just saw something. People were saying some down there that there was like, hey, there's reports of a bear running around the campus. And I'm like, somebody protect.
Maybe I'm gonna have to call Chloe up with the Munoz Foundation, because I told her there's no such thing as a Bearcat. And all of a sudden, I guess, did he have a long tail?
I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully she knows how to stop it or something. Or yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's down there still. Maybe Boogie Cousins is down there. Maybe giving some signings or something, since he's not spinning the bubble.
Yeah.
So what was your experience like in Lexington? When did you kind of hit your groove? And was the NFL on your radar your whole time, or did it kind of at one point click for you?
I go back. I'm from Camden, New Jersey, and all. And again, always, people talk about when I grew up in the projects and this right here, blah, 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 blah. And I always tell people, man, just like shade of color, when we come in the world, we don't get the opportunity to pick what color, what shade of parent we're going to have. My father, about 6'8", and this athletic. I want my mother this way, too. When we come in the world, wherever we live or wherever when we come out, that's what we got to fend with.
Yeah. So
I was born and raised, and I was pretty fortunate again. I had some great parents, my mother, my father, and all. So I was born in Camden, New Jersey, lived in the projects. So we economically, it was a little different and all. But I'm not knocking anybody else that had money or anything like that. It was just that's what happened. That's the environment we grew up. So my goal coming through high school and all was to get out of Camden, New Jersey, get out of the projects, and try to do something positive, and then come back, hopefully do some things back within my community and all, too. So the whole objective, as far as going to Lexington, but never thought about going down the South, so to speak, University of Kentucky and Lexington and all, too. But that was, it was a great experience for me, because I came from an environment that was all Black and Puerto Ricans. We went to schools predominantly and all, too. And I always use this is a true story, too. One of the schools that we had a hatred for, how it is rivalry against school, is one of the suburb schools. It was a parochial school, District of Eustis. They was out in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Pensacola, Cherry Hill. Yeah. And it was like a hatred. Basketball, and they were good at parochial school in basketball and football. But it was a learning experience for me, too, because we couldn't stand them. They couldn't stand us. And then I went to Kentucky. There was a guy by the name of Rick Fromm. Rick Fromm with the District of Eustis. We played against each other. Now, all of a sudden, we're on the same team. And Rick, when I came, he was a junior or a senior. He was a junior when I came in, and he took me under our wing. Oh, cool. But it was just one of those kind of moments that kind of put life in perspective and all, too, because basically, sports has its place. You hear about concussions, especially in football, and this injuries and all, and those are the negative things. But then on the other side, there's all those soft skills we learn. And just like coming to Kentucky, playing alongside with Rick Fromm, who we were arch enemies as far as sports and all back when we was in high school, you learn, man, that life is about adjustments and making changes and not assuming. Keeping it in perspective, because when you play a game, you're playing against somebody else and all. It's not like you're going to have to kill somebody. It's competitive, but you can still be competitive, be respectful of that person, no matter what part of town, what shade of color, and play the game for what it was, because that was the whole point, with football and other sports. It's about sportsmanship that you're slowly using, but we see a lot of lack of that nowadays and all, too, which it reflects within our community. Reflects, you look at the, those that are taking the lead in our community, politicians and all too, where, it's almost gets to the extreme where it's not about working together. It's almost about you guys see things my way, and that's the way it's gonna be done. It's not about, let's sit down. Hey, I'm gonna be empathetic and look at your side, and let's work together. We might disagree, but we still gonna have respect and love for one another.
Absolutely. I have a question. Did they ever try to get you to play basketball when you were down there?
Well, there was another guy that I played with, good friend of mine too, Derek Ramsey. We went down there together. Derek was our quarterback, and he went to Kentucky and all, and he got drafted too by the Raiders and all, played tight end and played for New England. You know, he's got several Super Bowl rings, then finished with Detroit and all too. But we came down there, we came together and all, and like I was thinking, what was the question you just asked too, man? I was trying to figure that when I was going with Derek and all.
Did they ever try to get you to play basketball?
Oh yeah, basketball. That's right. Derek, he went out for the team. He made the team as a freshman.
Wow.
But he didn't like sitting on the bench, so he just quit and all. But Derek was I played high school basketball, but football worked out pretty good for me, staying focused. And then, too, going to school, combination classes, practice, playing games, and being on the road, and those types of things can be, if you get too much away from the books and all, man, then the scholarship and all that stuff is all in vain and all.
And then speaking of your time in college, for this upcoming season, what are you expecting? Do you think there's going to be college football?
Well, it's almost I think college football is going to be around. It might be it's going to have to be modified somewhat too. But again, you think about it. This is the first time in history anything like this has happened. Yeah. And you think, back in the day, it probably wouldn't have been too bad, especially when I was playing ball. It might not have been too bad because you didn't have ESPN, all these channels 24/7. Because I can remember Wide Worlds of Sports was a big thing on Saturday, Saturday afternoon. It was on then maybe a football game in the afternoon and maybe at night and all. Then when they had the Monday night football, it was a big thing. But then, then from there you went to Thursday night. Now you talk sports 24/7, no matter what. So I think people are, it's just like, he's talking about holidays. Yeah. A lot of times, domestic violence and those types of issues and problems because people can't cope with the pressure. And sports it's almost like a medication for a lot of folks. And so there's going to have to be some type of modified medication for some of the folks and all too. Because some people, man, their life centered around sports and all. Yeah. And hopefully we can learn there's more to life than just sports. I mean, you can take that energy. We got a lot of things within our community that we can do. And I know it's the social distance, those types of things, but there's a lot of simple things that we can do to modify that and help other ones. So it's just a matter of being a little bit creative. Yeah. And doing the right thing, not only for yourself, but more importantly for those around us.
Yeah, because I remember those first few days after everything kind of shut down, people were like, how are we going to live without sports? And it was just like slow days. And then as it started to kind of just like day by day, it started to get like, all right, it's been a while. And then now I don't think people are realizing like how close we are to sports returning.
No, hey, and it is kind of crazy, because I can remember, now you remember Marty Lyons playing for too. He's had a foundation.
Yeah, actually, I interviewed him a couple weeks ago. He's awesome. He's such a great guy. Yeah.
And Marty, so he has his foundation and all too. So we've been talking. Kenny Zorn is one of the guys that works within his organization and all too. And that was the last time, we've been texting, going back and forth, trying to get some things going too. But I can remember talking to him because I can remember that one day the big thing on CNN and all the channels was when the big boat was coming in through San Francisco someplace. And they was talking about the problems. So, you're thinking just something little. And then, when I talked to Kenny later on that week or so, he was talking about, I wasn't keeping up the news and all about the NBA, baseball. Yeah. And then that's when things started hitting, how serious this virus. And then now you got things going up to social justice and all too. Yeah. And it's almost like a snowball. Yeah. And that's why it's important, man, to be doing something positive with not just for yourself, but for others and all. In order to help yourself, you got to help others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a question. Was there a point during your time at Kentucky when you were like, all right, I'm going to be a first round pick?
Oh, I'm a legend in my own mind still now. I'm still first round pick around about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm playing these all-star games, 2 o'clock in the morning. Then I got to get up, go to the bathroom and get some water out of the system. Then I come back and finish the game. Then I'm MVP again. That's when you have good concussions now.
Yeah.
No, but no, my thought was this is, and I think I was talking from Camden and all, it was almost like, I'm going to get out of Camden so I don't have to come back to Camden, so to speak, from that environment. And so once I got and had the opportunity at University of Kentucky, it wasn't a thought the thoughts start coming to mind my junior and senior year when you start having teams, football, pro teams looking at you. And then I started making some all-star teams and those types of things. And then even for the season that's back in the day. My best All-American team was the Playboy All-American team. So that's when I knew I was the man there.
Hey.
But, and that was a preseason All-American team and all too. And then that's how things kind of rolled from there. And I keep reflecting. I never thought, I think I was at the right place at the right time, but also the guys that I played with in college and all, that makes a world of a difference, because I kind of look at things and, I think we had maybe 13 guys that came off our senior team and all that either was a free agent or drafted in the Chiefs and all too. So I played with some great guys and all, and I was just at the right place at the right time. That's the way I look at it. And, had some great coaches and all too. So it was a combination. Then, I keep thinking, your parents, I always talk about the support team. Yeah. And yes, it did take some effort on my part as far as, playing the game. So, and another person that sticks on my mind too is Pat Etcheberry. He was another guy. He was our strength and conditioning coach. And I can remember, man, he was a drill sergeant, but it was all about technique, self-discipline, those types of things. And he didn't discriminate, no matter if you was an All-American or you was on the scout team or whatever. He treated everybody the same way. He worked everybody the same way. And those all skills, things that I've learned, not only for myself individually, but then, raising a family, business, treating others and all too. I mean, it's, those are the things and all with sports and all. If young ones can take in mind, not just shooting a basketball, catching the ball, running fast, whatever, but those soft skills that you learn, those are the things that's going to take you to the next level. Because once this, if you're fortunate to play, professional football, whatever, or basketball, whatever the sport might be, that only lasts for a little time. But what you going to do after that? And those were those skills, people that you learn, respecting others, never thinking too much of yourself because, hey, I play for this and I make this kind of money, I'm better. Keep everything in perspective. I think that keeps you grounded and takes you to the next level, so to speak.
What was your draft process like?
My draft was, back then they didn't have the combine and all that. So, and I'll give you another story and all, because Buck Buchanan played for the Chiefs, all Super Bowl and all too. Hank Stram was he's a legend coach and all too. But it was one of those situations back then when I was at Kentucky and all. Buck was coaching for the New Orleans Saints with Hank Stram. So they went down and he's coaching. And so Buck came up and did, that's how they used to, they have maybe one of the coaches come in and run you and do all these testing, weightlifting and all too. That's how it was done back in the day. And I had the opportunity, that was the first time I met Buck.
Cool.
Big Buck about the same size. And you talking about the nicest guy in the world and all. And that's a breed, because coming to Kentucky, I didn't have Bobby Bell, Jan Stenroot, Gurley Galt. You go, Willie Lanier, all them guys. it's just a different breed of folks and all, man. Them guys are the most humble guys around and all, too. If I had the opportunity, Buck gave me his New Orleans Saint sweatshirt and pants and his Puma shoes, and I can still remember that to this day and all. But it was just the impression, he was looking at him, he was a legend and all. But the type, his personality, how he talked and how he treated others, man, that's really impressed me about him and all. So that was part of the process. They come in and they run you and the 40-yard and all that kind of stuff. And that was the process back then of testing the ball play. They didn't have, like, you go to Indianapolis and do the combine and all that stuff. They never had the big thing up in New York where they announce your name or whatever. So I missed out on that somewhat. But I didn't miss out. I kind of like that kind of phase and all, show stuff.
How did you find out you were going to Kansas City?
There was a song. Somebody was singing the song, "I'm going to Kansas City, here I come." No, that was. I found out. I think it was 2 or 3 nights before the draft and all. So what happened was, I came in town the night before the draft with the Chiefs and all, stayed across the street. And then when they made an announcement, that's when Marv Levy was his first year in the NFL as far as head coach and all. So I had the opportunity of meeting Marv, Coach Levy, and visiting over at the stadium and all. And that's how I found out.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. And then, so what was your kind of like your first training camp experience like? Just being the small fish in a big pond.
There's stories and lessons and all to be learned. Now, I can remember my first year, and one of the guys, there's individuals and all that stand out in my mind. Jack Rudney is one of the guys, but one of the guys I always talk about, his name was, they used to call him Big Nick, Jim Nicholson. Now, he played for Michigan State and all, Big Nick, but he was an offensive tackle. So I'm coming in as a defensive end. I was like a stand-up defensive end, like an outside linebacker.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I ever played on defense in a three-point stance and all, too. So Big Nick, and then Camp, how Camp is, he's fighting for a job, I'm fighting for a job. Because I got drafted, that higher rank, it's not an end, so to speak. But, you still, if you're competitive, you're gonna work for it and all, too, because you're trying to get better. But Big Nick, man, he used to take me after practice and show me moves on him that, as a defensive end. And so I'm thinking, I never thought about it. And then afterwards, I started thinking, this person, Jim, Big Nick, take me after practice. He's got to make the squad too, but he's showing me moves on him that I can do on him. He's teaching me moves that work. So it was that type of person, Jim, Big Nick, man, was old. He was a raw dog and all, man. But underneath, a lot of them guys, man, they're pretty humble. And he took me on the side, man, gave me some advice. And then I had to practice it, full blow and all. I mean, back then, 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes we had 3-day practice and all, too.
Jeez.
So Nick, man, we added each other every day and all. And then after practice, hey, you need to work on this right here and this right here. So it was a transition and all, but like I said, I think it's a lot of times, man, if you with the right people, right environment, sometimes, most of the time you're not. But if you come in, I never thought to, I was pretty fortunate, but I try not to think too much of myself and all, because, especially in this sport, it's real simple. You can have all the ability in the world, and there's just one thing that can get you out of the game real quick. You know what that is, don't
you? Yeah. So, yeah, it's yeah. So I have a question. So I was watching something the other day, and it kind of got me thinking. And I get that pro football players get lots of pitches all the time, like when they're playing for like different investments.
Oh no, that's baseball. Is that pitches? I used to get curveballs, knuckleballs back when I was young, but pitches, yeah, sometimes. But I don't play no baseball.
So, I mean, like, was there like a wild investment pitch? Like something that like, you were like, is this guy for real? That somebody said to you like, hey, do you want to get into this? You were like, get out of my face.
Okay. Can you explain that just a little bit more? You talking about as far as?
Yeah. Like a business opportunity that you were like some crazy business. Was that?
Right. Well, there's stories and true stories and all. You know, the funny thing about it, you know, because getting drafted and all, you have folks that approach you. I had one guy approach me. He was in insurance and all, investment. He wanted me to get $1 million worth of insurance. And that was a big thing, you know, because, you know, the way it was presented is it's like an investment. And then when you think about it, I'm, you know, 22 years old, just drafted. I'm getting $1 million insurance power. Who's going to get, I'm not married, don't have no kids. So who's going to get that money? And then on top of that, basically what you're doing is you betting on yourself dying. Oh yeah, I'm going to get $1 million. I'm going to die so I can get this $1 million. You don't get the $1 million. So it's almost like, you know, there's a lot of times, you know, we don't think, but I remember Arsenio Hall show, man. He used to have this term, things that make you go, You know, people throw pictures at you, man. You sit there. You know, I had people, man, hey, you come on board. You don't have to do anything at all. We're going to do the work for you, blah, blah, blah. I'm this right here. You're trying to figure out, and we know it's just a ploy of getting you involved, but there's a picture, ain't no thing you can get involved with when you ain't going to do nothing at all. And we just make money. You don't have to it's like things that make you go, maybe I should. Yeah, I think it just might work. Yeah.
No, that's why. And then, of course, when did you? Was there an adjustment period for you, sort of in your first season, or when did you kind of feel like, all right, I belong?
I think, you know, you never want to. I think in life and all, you always, if you don't have a longing and you should never get satisfied where you're at and all. Yeah. So I never, you know, even and you laugh about it, just like I did. You know, even after I retired back in '89. I ain't lying. Many a days I get up in the morning sweating, literally sweating and all. And then I catch myself too, especially during the football season, about going to practice. And so, you know, it's been 5, 6, 7 years. And sometimes on the season, or you smell grass, you start bringing back memories and all. And so, and I can remember times, man, I'm thinking, and even now, you know, I'll have, you know, like a game in mind or playing in the game, and you still think you think you still got it. Then you get up in the morning and the wife tell you, you need to put some oil on the joints. You're making too much noise when you get up, man. You're scaring everybody. But I mean, but it's just, so it's almost like, and I got some grandkids, a couple of our grandkids that we got sole custody of, man. And we, you know, lately we've been going down, where we used to practice at was at, right down the track is 4 miles, William Jewell College and all. That's where we had our camp and all back in the day. And so, you know, going down there, you know, I take the grandkids down, we run and all, I'm just doing a little bit and all. And I tell them, I said, man, I think, you know, once I get back in shape, I think, and then we going up the steps, doing the steps, I think I might be going back out for the Chiefs, you know, this year and all too. But then, you know, that's just a figure of speech, but I feel like I belong. I belong to get paid on Mondays. That's where I belong, man.
I have a question. Is it true that you became a vegetarian partway through your career?
Well, yeah, you know, it was more so I haven't eaten pork or beef in probably over 40 years or so.
Really?
But I eat fish and fowl and all. And then for a period of time I didn't eat any, no, you know, I don't mess around no dairy product lines, but lately I kind of changed things around a little bit. But yeah, it was, to me, part of the game, and you talk about belonging and all, you always, in my mind, I'm always thinking, it's not all the physical side of the game, it's more so the psychological. If you think that you're doing something a little different than the other fellas are doing, and you got the research and the data. So when back in the day when I was playing ball, you know, the big thing was, you know, potatoes, steak, prime rib, and all those are the breakfast of champions right there and all, you know, food that you ate and all.
Move aside Wheaties. No more Wheaties. Prime ribs moving right in.
Wheaties came into play. But you know what I found out, and it's just a lot of research and folks that I knew was on the nutritional side that, you know, with beef and steak and all, it's you know, it's been proven data and research that when you eat steak and all, it takes your body a couple of days to digest that through your system, the cold and all. It takes a while. So in my mind, I'm thinking, usually when you're playing a game, it's not just one play. You got to play 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And I know it's in spurts and all too, but endurance and being able to play the game and being able to play it hard at the end of the game, that's where you really excel in that too. So my mind is always like this. I'm hoping, the day before the game and all, I'm watching what I eat, eating pre-game and all. I just maybe ate some fruit. I didn't hardly, almost played on I wouldn't say an empty stomach, but it just makes sense. Now you're not focused, your body's now not focusing on digesting that steak that you had the night before, that steak you had that morning, which makes you sluggish. Now I can get in the game, and I'm hoping to God the big old offense tackle, he might have a big old, some potatoes, man, and maybe a big glass of milk, man. Maybe put some chocolate in that milk too. So we get in that game, man, because it'll start off and then tail end, then I can, that's when, it's not how you start the game, it's how you finish it all too. So it's not only physically, but psychologically, I'm thinking I'm getting the edge. And I can remember even working out, I used to always work out by myself because I figure when you play the game, even though you got 11 players around, you got to focus on your assignment in order to contribute to the rest of the team. So I can remember over at Arrowhead Stadium, man, running them steps all the time. And I used to always pick, it was psychologically for me, it was, a lot of times people pick, I'm going to work out early in the morning when it's cool or in the evening or whatever. Or I'm going to work out in the air-conditioned place. Me, it was about, we played the games back then. Most of the games was like 1 o'clock anyhow. So that's when I used to work out, run them steps 1 o'clock because I figure, you condition your body in that state and all. And again, thinking in my mind, hey, I bet you probably not a lot of the fellas doing it right now. So I got a little edge on it. Yeah. So, that's the way I kind of look at things and all.
How long did the vegetarian lifestyle last for you?
Well, I just, like I said, I did eat fish and fowl.
Yeah.
So I get the protein and all too. So I still live that lifestyle.
Oh, cool. Interesting. That's wild.
I still live it, man. Can't you tell by the hairstyle, man? Oh, I left the hairstyle. I gotta go get that. I gotta get that mohawk, man, coming down like this, man. I had my little band on.
I have a question. Who is the hardest quarterback for you to bring down?
How about, I wouldn't say hardest to bring. Well, one of them, well, I'm going to tell you, my all-time quarterback is Kenny the Snake Stabler.
Interesting.
I used to always, he was a lefty and all. But it was just, if you watch him when he was cool, calm, and collected. He was the type of guy, sometimes you got quarterbacks looking at guys coming at him. He could feel it. He was one of them kind of quarterbacks, man, that could feel you coming, duck up in the pocket. And he didn't have to look and see if anybody's coming. And he was always, he was the ultimate quarterback. I mean, he loved his tight ends and all. He didn't discriminate too, but he used all the players on the field and just a smart guy and all too. And plus, he was from the Southeastern Conference, University of Alabama, Kentucky Wildcats. We all was smart guy. I bet he probably was a pre-med too major too, just like me. So, but now there was a quarterback as far as in reference, he came out in 1983, was John Elway.
Yeah. And
I can remember if you said, what was the longest time you had to make a sack? He was, Elway, man. I remember one time I was playing here in Kansas City, and cuz, man, he running one side of the field. I'm chasing him. He running back. I finally made the sack, man, but it was just, almost felt like one of the Three Stooges. Woo, 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 you over there. But that was the longest sack. I think it took me it was almost like a marathon. It took me 2 days, man. I had to catch there wasn't Ubers back there. I had to catch a cab and follow them around.
That's wild. That's incredible. And then, so what was like what is your standout moment from your time with the Chiefs? What is like the most vivid memory you have, like the one that kind of just stands atop the rest?
Stands out? Don't you have to have a mind to have things that stand out? Oh, no. Well, hey, maybe I can go this route right here. The game that I had the most fun in,
yeah,
go that route. We played 1979. We was playing Tampa Bay Buccaneers down in Florida, down in Tampa. And it just brought back some old memories. It was a downpour rain. I mean, but the humidity was hot. So we playing a game. There wasn't no lightning or thunder. They would stop the game, but it was just a downpour rain. If you Google that game and all too, it's 1979 playing, Chiefs against the Buccaneers and all. Man, I had about 20 tackles in that game. That was fun. I ain't lying. It reminded me of back when you was young, sliding in the mud and going back and forth. And it was the perfect rain because the humidity was out there, but it was refreshing. And it was just, they couldn't throw the ball that much anyhow. And they wound up, Buccaneers beat us 3-0 and all too. But that was a game that kind of stood out in my mind. I really enjoyed that game. It brought back some old memories.
I have a question. I'm always wondering when there's games on and there's like heavy rain, who do you think the rain, who does that benefit more, the offense or the defense?
I think, the defense, when you think about it, because you can't throw that much. So it kind of modifies the game, and then the footage and all too. But it can work either way and all too, because the footage on both sides. But for a defensive player, and I always everything was just the thought pattern and all too, because you say defense and offense. And so, in my mind, playing the game, I wanted to be the offense.
Yeah.
So, in other words, instead of figuring out what the offense is doing, have them figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so, with that mindset, it's almost like, you do certain things. It doesn't always work that way, but it's always, you got to have something in your back pocket, so to speak, when you play the game.
Yeah.
So, with that. And then, but I like to also bring up a point, too. He's talking about thinking phone right there. I was thinking this. As far as players, you was talking about players. When I was in high school, and I still got my high school jacket and all.
Oh, cool.
It has on there Mad Stewart 83. You probably don't go back that far. You're a Baltimore man, ain't you?
Yeah.
That's where the Mad Stewart came from, Baltimore.
Oh.
Ted Hendricks.
Yeah.
And he went up to play for the Raiders and all. But in high school, I was the Mad Stewart. He was the guy that I mimicked and admired his style of playing and all. And we was about the same height and type. So I was a Mad Stewart in high school. And then, the story behind that is, I can remember when I got drafted, we played, that's when he was playing for the Raiders and all. So we played against each other. Then we was playing in the Pro Bowl, either 80, 81 or something like that. And so little Mad Stewart in his 3-point stance, and big Mad Stewart is right beside him. That was one of those kind of moments you like, okay, those are things you dream about doing, and this is reality and all too. So
where did they have the Pro Bowls back then when you were playing?
Oh, it was over in Hawaii. Those
are the good ones. Not Orlando. Orlando's fine, but like.
No, it was just it was good. It was over, going over there. It's a different breed of folks and all too, because that Polynesian culture, that's family and all too. And I got a lot of Samoan friends and all too. And so I was like going back to the motherland.
Yeah, that's all. Was that the first time you ever been to Hawaii?
No, I went there. I had the opportunity to play in the Hula Bowl one time. That was my first time in the Hula Bowl, and then had the opportunity to play over in the Japan Bowl. So we went over there, and it was, it's a different pace. There's another guy, good friend, that's my brother from another, Frank Malamalona and all. Frank came in 79. He played linebacker. And me and Frank, man, we took on that, we're brothers and all. So we spent some time, even when I was playing, before I got married in 83. But we went over to Samoa, did some things, some football clinics and camps and all too. And so, and then back in 2013, went back over, did some things over there for 3 months or so and all. But, and then, my name is not, when I'm in Samoa and all, one of my Samoan brothers is not Art, I'm Afa.
Hey.
So that's just, and then all my kids, I name all my oldest one, Afa, I got a Nico, there was a follow Nico Noga. Nico played for the St. Louis Cardinals and all. You're talking a linebacker, you're talking about a tough dude and also name one Nico. So I got all my kids, I got Tasi, Meliana, I got Isai, all them Samoan Polynesian names.
Oh, cool. I have a question. How did you end up in Buffalo?
I think we probably, at first they flew me up, and then we drove up. No. I wound up, what happened was, in 87, yeah. That's when we had Coach Levy there. Coach Levy was our first coach. Then 1983, they brought in John McAfee. And so when John McAfee came in, and it kind of tells you something about the organization. He was there. He had, coaches and players, like I said before, everybody's got their style, way of doing things. You might not agree with, it's those are learning skills we learn, because when we get in the real world, you ain't gonna agree with everything, but you gotta know how to work with it. But McAfee, we finally went to, in 86, we played the Jets in a first playoff game, I think, in 15 years. And so you would think that maybe the Chiefs and all, okay, they get ready to go to the next level next year. So we lost to the Jets up in New York. And so you know what they did? The organization at that particular time, they fired McAfee, and they hired the special team coach, Frank Gans. And so when Frank came in, he had a structure of doing things, and you say run through the wall, you're supposed to run through the wall. I had problems at that time. So finally, at the end of the year, they traded me up to Buffalo. That's when they brought Neil Smith in and all, too. So if I think Frank coached for a couple more years, then they brought in Marty Schottenheimer and all, too. But that's how I went up to Buffalo and all, because there were some things I didn't, certain things, you stick to the program, and the program will stick to you, and then things, you got to make modifications, make changes and all, too. So, and the Chiefs had to make changes, and they flew me up to Buffalo. That's how I got up to Buffalo.
What was the coldest it got there? I don't think people realize.
Well, that's, there's stories, true stories. It's the same thing. People was telling me when I was leaving, man, I don't know how you're going to take those winters. And it does. Up there, because then you understand there's a lake effect snow. So the weather's got to be a certain temperature to get that lake effect snow. And then when it does pound, it comes down and all. But in Kansas City, in Buffalo is like #1 worst weather city or whatever. But then when I was Googling the thing in reference Kansas City is #5 because you go down here. Yeah, you go from the humidity, tornadoes, you got ice storms, you get the snow. So you go from one extreme. You can get all those, and you go from one extreme to the other and all. And so when you go up to Buffalo, man, you understand. A lot of folks up in Buffalo, they look forward to those winters and all, because that's when they get outside. So it's I guess it's a mindset down here. If you get a couple of inches, everything shuts down up there, and everything is starting to open up.
Yeah, that's wild. And of course, at what point did you realize, like, I'm kind of ready to retire?
It came to you never ready to retire and all, man. But it's just sometimes with me it was a situation, and I always tell especially young ball players, if you understand the concept of the game, and everything's a game, playing, team, all that stuff, even in our lives and all too. And I think sometimes we take things too personally. And I think even in that situation, me, because when I left from Buffalo, it was like, man, I don't know why, because I had some opportunities going to some other places, but, kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. And the reason why, it wasn't the team or anything like that. It was myself and all, too. So, and I think part of the issue was, you sometimes you get too much in yourself, but if you don't understand that this is a business, you're basically a commodity, even though you're a human, anybody, like, if you're working for somebody, you're your own business and all, too, you're a commodity, you can be replaced anytime. And I remember, I had a great coach, Walt Corey. He said, never think, his term every year when we came in about you're never expendable. And that is so stinking true, because then when I did retire and stop playing ball, I didn't look at it for about 5 years. I wouldn't watch football, Chiefs. I had the opportunity, Lamar Hunt, one of the greatest owners in NFL history and all. He had called me up, wanted me to represent, because they was dedicating a practice facility and all. And I still had a bad taste. I told him I had something going and all too. But then over a period of time, then I realized, and I think hopefully the young ones, they're telling the young ones and all too, that, basically it's a business. Yeah. If I'm playing and they paying me a certain amount of money, then the guy behind me is almost just as good and all, or just as good, and they paying half the salary they pay me. It's just, the numbers are there. You're out. And so, but the thing is, my mind, I'm thinking, man, this and that. So you take it too personal. So, and I think that's, coming into the game, just like even college and all, it's the same deal, man. You're expendable. Yeah. And then not only keeping in mind that you're only one injury away of being out of the game anyhow. Yeah. So
a question. So you said you wouldn't watch football. What happened that made you say, okay, I'm ready to kind of get back involved and watch it again?
After I realized, man, I wasn't gonna get paid no more. I couldn't get picked up no more. No, it was, and those 4 or 5 years that I was doing that, man, I was out. We had some acreage out in the countryside, and then we was homeschooling our kids and all. So I just kind of, took to the family and all, and did, things around, the property. And then we did then I wound up moving back up to Western New York, back to Buffalo area and all. I was up there for 4 or 5 years, then came back and started doing things, became part of the Kansas City Chiefs Ambassadors, which is a group of the fellas and all. Some of the guys, Bobby Bell, Jan Stenerud, Tim Grunhard, Deron Cherry, Sean Barr. There's a bunch of Tim Grunhard. There's a bunch of fellas and all. And then one of the starters, Walter White, that was my brother and all too, but he passed away about a year. These are all founders and all that worked along with the ambassadors, and we do things within the community. That's one of the things I enjoy. We do things, helping young ones, elderly or whatever, anything, or, children's, types of charities, Children's Mercy. We do all types of things and all within our community and all. And those are the things I enjoy doing right now.
Yeah. I have a question. Were you at the Super Bowl in Miami this year?
Oh yeah, I was there. You gonna ask me how I got there?
No, just your bike.
No,
your bike?
No, I didn't go. I just, I do have a problem around a lot of people and all too. And this is throughout my whole career, and I had the opportunity. I've never been to a Super Bowl, so except for watching them on TV or something like that too. But no, I didn't go. There's a lot of folks and all too. Yeah. Now, sometimes I get, because, being a brain surgeon and all, I don't want to mess these hands up. Something goes down, I might have to do some Jackie Chan and all. I didn't want to mess these hands up. My patients are looking, every time they look at my hands, they're like, I'm healed.
But how awesome was that for you to see them kind of win the Lombardi?
Oh, it was, hey, you couldn't ask for a better time. What was it, 50? It was the 50th anniversary, wasn't it? Yeah. That they won it 50 years ago. So the timing was just right and all too. And then, got some great ball players and all, and just, and the band plays on, and then now with the virus and all, man, that kind of affected a lot of things. Even reminiscing, doing things in the community. Usually, you see ball players, especially during off season, run around doing all these things, but can't because of the social distancing and other issues and problems and all too. And then with the social injustice thing, there's a lot of distractions around and all too. So
yeah, are you glad they locked up Mahomes for the foreseeable future and he's not going anywhere?
Oh, is he locked up? I knew he had some. I seen that correctional color orange he's wearing. Did he have the chains on when he walked? Locked up? No. Hey. More power to that, man. It's just, people talk about that, and I don't need to hear anything about that. Ain't doing me nothing good in my pockets anyhow. No. But if you have the opportunities, and you can ask for, MVP of the league and all too, and his skills and what he brings to the community and all too. More power to him. And always people, people are starting making statements. Wow, man, making all that money, blah, blah, blah. But again, as we go back into the business phase of it, those businessmen that own these teams, own the NFL and these franchises and all that, they ain't gonna pay that money unless they're getting their money back.
Absolutely.
So when you say that, okay, look at the team, look at the owners and all too, because they're paying the money for a reason. Yeah. And they're not going to invest in something they ain't gonna get it back.
No, it's all thought out. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm all about players getting exactly what they can.
Oh no,
it's awesome.
You can't jam up on them, man. They better take advantage because they use that line, that NFL not for long, huh, man? So you better get whatever you can while you're there.
Absolutely. And I speaking of kind of stuff you do in the community that you're able to, how did you start the Syndicate Coffee Team? Because it's incredible what you're doing.
Well, it's we also have this, and our we got Still for Life, which still number 4 and then Life, and we started that as far as working with foundations and all too, more so with product lines where 100% of the profit goes to the foundation, and then we just made the transition over to the coffee the beginning of this year, the Syndicate Coffee Team. Syndicate is like a community have something in common and all, that's what it means and all. So, and we did some things, I did some things with my sister for a period of time in reference to the coffee, but then, we always think in terms of me and the wife, how you can do something that's really gonna make an impact, not just 5% going back to the foundation, but where you can do it 100%. And 100% of that money that we're talking about, or the funds going back to the foundation, 90% is to the foundation, 10% is going to the farmers that farm this organic coffee in those Mexico, those South American countries, over in Africa and all too. So it's a combination of things. And then, we have the opportunity, we're doing some things with the NFL alumni group. Jim Kelly has this Hunter Hope. Yeah. So we're having some, and those are things that we enjoy. The Ron Cherry has his foundation. We're talking with Munoz, their folks and all too. There's a Super Bowl of Caring they do every year around about Super Bowl time, but it's a year program and all where they work with harvesters, awareness of the hungers and stuff in school and those types of things. There's a number of foundations in the autism industry and all too, Chapel Haven, and we can just go on there. And that's what we do. 100% of the profit goes. It's all internet based and all too. So you get a subscription every month. You get a 2-pound bag of coffee, fresh roasted organic coffee each month, and it's shipped out. And it's not, a lot of times people bag coffee and just let it sit, but it's shipped, fresh and all. And so, it's a product line, a consumer product lines that everybody drinks. I drink 2 or 3 cups a day, and there's some medicinal value to it and all too that you. But so to me, it's almost like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Yeah. You're purchasing a product line that you're going to utilize, and it's organic, and then the funds are going back to the foundation, 100%. Going back to the foundation. And plus you're getting awareness out there too of these foundations, because there's a lot of foundations that don't get the awareness. And I'll give you a good example and all. When I was doing the thing like the Chiefs and all, they're part of the Super Bowl of Caring and all. So this past year, we did something with the harvesters during the Super Bowl week. They had over at the harvesters here in town where we was making bags of food and all for kids in school. That don't have anything like on the weekends and all too. And it was just kind of funny because it touches home, because a lot of times you look outside and say, oh, these people over here, these people over here. Then my grandkids, who we got sole custody of now, back then their father had the kids and all. So they came in one day with a bag, like on a Friday. It was the same bags we was packing over at the harvesters for Super Bowl Caring for kids that didn't have nothing on the weekend. So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm doing starts in our backyard, our own family members and all too. So it kind of put things in perspective, because a lot of times people always look across town or this part of the city or whatever, but man, it's happening in our own household. Yeah. So the best place to start is within our own home, and then working from there, because you can't help others unless you help yourself and all. So, but with the Syndicate Coffee Team.com, you'll see a list of what we give back, the foundations, and give information in reference to that. So if it's folks that have an interest, or maybe they might have a foundation that they need some help as far as bringing funds in and those types of things, be certain to get in touch with us.
That's awesome. That's great work you guys do. I'll put all the information in here when I post it, so everybody can just redirect to that and they can go find it easily. But yeah, and I just had one last question for you. So, what was it like when you got inducted into the Chiefs, the Chiefs Hall of Fame?
Oh, here's another good story, man. When that happened, I think it was in '97 or something like that. We was living we had lived here and came back after retired, lived for about 5 years. We sold our house and moved back up west. We liked it out the country. Where we lived up in West New York, there was an Amish community and an Indian reservation right there. So we was out in the backwoods and all. But I can vividly remember sitting up there. Lenny Dawson, legendary, gave me a call on the phone of telling me, that I've been inducted to the Chiefs Hall of Fame and all. So I'm sitting on the phone, and so my mind is always racing anyhow. So Lenny thought, man, I should be all excited about it. He said, you're going to get your name written up on the wall and all that kind of stuff. So Lenny thought I should have been a little bit more excited about it. He said, how come you ain't? I said, hey, Lenny, look, my name's been on the wall since 1978. I said, you go in all the girls' bathroom in the stadium on the wall for good time. I said, man, I already been on the thicket wall, man. Don't act like you doing me a favor, man. So, I mean, that's a true story and all too. But no, it was a great honor, a privilege. Like I said, Will, all them guys part of that. Even the young Neil Smith, Derek Thomas. You got Bobby Bell. I mean, just Lenny and all them guys. So it was a big honor, a big privilege, and I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, this has been a ton of fun chatting for a while, and I really, really appreciate you taking the time. And I love all the work you guys are doing with the Syndicate Coffee Team. But this is awesome. And for people that are looking to follow you, like on social media, is it just Syndicate Coffee Team? Is it .org or .com?
Yeah, the thing is, and I'm not a very technical guy and stuff. When you're a brain surgeon, I always use the hands all the time. And then, can you imagine typing on them things, man? I done broke up a many keyboards and all too, delicate. But our website is syndicatecoffeeteam.com. And I think we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, still, I think it's Art Still too on Twitter or whatever. I'm not a very technical guy and all per se and all, but I know for one thing, if you want to get some more information, I got the Russians working for me. They get that information out there.
They're working for everybody now.
Oh, they are? Oh, man, they made it seem like it was just working for. Okay, I'm going to have to talk to the Martians. Hey. The Martians called me about working along with me. I might have to go to the Martians.
Hey, yeah, well, this has been a ton of fun. I'm glad everybody's doing well, but this has been a blast. I just wanted to thank you again for chatting for a few minutes.
Oh, no. Hey, if there's anything we can do to help each other, man, it's all about, doing something positive, man. And me is all about, man, the key word is being empathetic and all, especially in these times, man, putting ourselves in other people's shoes, how we respond and how we do. And the thing is, my motto too, and my wife will tell you, any place I go, we was at Lowe's yesterday and all too. Every day, my objective is to make new friends.
Yeah. And
just, saying hello, laugh, or, joking or whatever. And what you'll find out too on simple things like that, a random act of kindness, or just, man, there's a lot of data and research, man, how extend your shelf life, your stress level, and those types of things, just simple things as that. And then they'll find out, if they go to syndicatecoffeeteam.com, they'll find out too that that's all we talk about, kindness. We got, the research and the data and all that helps us. Then when you look at it like, man, if I just smile at somebody, it's going to affect my health and how I look at life in general and all. Or if I just say hello, or, something simple as that can take you to the next level, so to speak.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this has been the time of fun. Just wanted to thank you one last time, but really, really appreciate you taking time to chat.
Oh no, no problem. Hey, as they would say, I'm too legit to quit. Oh no, man, I'm starting to date myself now.
I've heard that one. I've heard that one.
Cameraman, don't let